Marketing That Works is the podcast for business owners who want to move their brand forward so that they can bring in more sales and clients. I'm Danielle R, and I'm bringing you what I know from more than 12 years of experience in traditional and online marketing. I have created marketing strategies for businesses of all sizes, from multi-million-dollar corporations to early-stage online businesses. Remember, some marketers chase fads. I believe in mastering the fundamentals. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing. Your goal as a coach is to help people understand that you know exactly what they're going through and that by working with you, you will help them solve their problems. That's what you're trying to do every time you send an email, every time you make a post to IG, every time you make a reel or a TikTok. Your goal is to show that you are so in tune. You understand their problems so clearly and that hiring you is the best choice that they can make. That's your goal. But how do you do that in your content? The answer isn't video content versus static posts versus something else. It's about talking about the right things. Because when you're tuned in and talking about the right things, the how, the logistics, the email versus IG becomes less of an issue. I see so many people tripped up on, well, should this be an email? Should this be on stories? Should I do an IG live? Should this be a static feed post? But it doesn't matter if what you're talking about doesn't show that you're really tuned in and that you understand your people and that you are providing something that they need to hear. So in this episode and the next few episodes, I'm going to break down the 3 things you need to do to become so in tune with what your people need to hear. I'm breaking down how you can have your audience really think that you can read their mind because you were so spot on with the topics that you were talking about in your emails, in your lives, because you're prioritizing that first. Getting in tune, knowing exactly what to say in your content, understanding what your audience needs to hear simply requires 3 things: looking, listening, acting. Okay, so let's break that down. Looking is all about going and seeking out information on the people you want to help. If you want to get technical, this is called getting secondary information, meaning you didn't just gather this information yourself, but you found it. Back in my concrete days, this meant looking at published studies on the latest construction industry trends, or I'd pull articles from different organizations, or I'd work with other firms to access studies and take a look at those results. This stage of looking is simply that. Looking at and using the information that is around you. This is something I see a lot of coaches and service providers completely forget is available to them. I've worked with my clients to make decisions on what kind of content to make based on information that's already collected, information that's already easily accessible to them. I remember one business coach client of mine was struggling to think of topics to talk about in her content. She thought she had already said everything and nothing felt like it was a good enough idea. So something I suggested that she do was look on Reddit threads. I told her to go take a look at what the business questions were, what people were asking there, and I told her to look at what situations they were in. I told her to go and look at what problems were keeping them up and what things that they were doing that were still giving them problems even though they had taken action. And then I told her to answer them, both in her content and even on these threads. And what I love about this method is that it doesn't require these crazy deep dives. It simply requires you going to the places that your ideal clients are already hanging out at and looking to see what they are saying and what they are asking. This right here will get you so many ideas. And it's so much more powerful because it is coming directly from people asking very specific questions. What tends to happen a lot is that you're going off of vibes when you're creating content. You're thinking, I feel like this is going to be something that's going to be good. I feel like I should really talk about this, or I have a quote unquote hot take about this. But what you aren't doing is answering people's questions. You aren't getting inside of their head. You aren't really tuned into what's really on their minds. When you do this, when you look at information that's already out there and available, you are easily accessing things that people are asking, things that you know that people are asking right now, and you are giving your perspective, your spin, your answer to things that people actually want to know. And again, this process doesn't need to take hours and hours of your time, but it will require you to look, observe, and take note. Because becoming observant about the problems your people have is one of the top skills you need as a coach. Successfully running your business will require you to look and see what is happening in your industry, looking and seeing what people are actually asking and what they want and need to know. And when you're looking and observing the problems that people are having, you will create better offers that address those concerns. You can create content that addresses the questions you're seeing. You're not just guessing, but you're able to respond to the things that you are actually seeing. This is something that needs to be part of your regular marketing practice so that you're staying tuned in and people see you as someone who can help them solve their problems. Now, the second thing you need to do to become in tune with your people is that you need to listen. Where the looking phase that we were just talking about is about looking outside, looking to your industry at large, looking at outside sources of information, this listening phase is going to be more internal. Specifically, listening to the people who are already engaged with you. Now, I'm sure that you know that saying of, you may have heard, but did you listen? Like, this is essentially what I'm talking about here. Really, it's about, are you listening to what people are saying on your sales calls? Are you listening to what your current clients are saying? Are you listening to the people who are always in your DMs? I talk about this a bit back in episode 15 of the podcast, but listening to the people who already have some type of working relationship with you is going to give you so much. You're going to notice that the current people who are signing up to work with you, they likely have the same 3 problems and situations that are going on for them. You're going to notice the same couple thought patterns that they have, or the first few assumptions that they have before deciding to work with you. If you are listening to what the people are telling you, whether it's through a form, whether it's through the DMs, through whatever it is, if you are listening, you can use that to create more tuned in marketing to get more clients. What I see a lot with my clients is that they heard someone mention a problem on a coaching call, or my clients heard why someone was struggling. But what they weren't doing was truly listening. They weren't truly taking note of what was happening, understanding why it was happening, and then coming up with solutions for it. And when I say that they weren't doing that, I mean that they weren't doing that public facing. They were giving solutions to the people that they were working with, but they weren't sharing that same level of detail and specificity to the outside world. And so the people who are looking to potentially work with them aren't seeing that, oh, they have specific solutions that could work for me. I'm reminded of one of my clients who was looking to come up with launch email topics. And I told her that she needed to go back and listen to what her clients said when they first started working with her. Now, my client, what she was doing is she was really relying on her memory and her perception of what people needed to hear before buying coaching from her. But when she went back and actually listened to what her people had to say, she was able to be way more specific. She noticed themes that were coming up with her people. And to be so clear, her launch emails did mention some of these things. They did mention some of these patterns. They did mention some of the things that she noticed. But what was happening is that it wasn't as prominent as it needed to be, especially considering that it was a major trend when she looked back and when she was listening to what her people were saying. Her emails weren't giving these topics, these themes, the dedicated space that it needed. And it was because she went back and listened to what her clients were telling her that she was able to have these more specific and more honed in launch emails that were getting more people into her launch because my client demonstrated that she was so tuned in to the needs of her people. And what happens when she sends these emails out that are more specific, more tuned in to the exact patterns and the exact things that her people go through, her emails convert so much better. People sign up so much more quickly because they see that she has a direct plan for the things that they're going to be struggling with. She sets them at ease, and people trust that they're going to get a solution. They're going to get their problem solved when they're working with her. So we talked about looking, we talked about listening. Now, the final phase of becoming so tuned in to your customer that they trust that you are the one that they need to work with is acting. Really, this is about being proactive and seeking out the information you need in order to be tuned in to the people that you want to serve. Now, the looking step is great when you're looking to see what the conversation is in the industry at large. The listening step is great when you have records and DMs and things to look back on from your clients. But this act step is when you still have questions about how to really help and serve the people you want to work with. I think I've mentioned this example before, but I had a client who was looking to work with more corporate clients and multiple 6- and 7-figure business owners. And the listening step wasn't going to work for her because she's never had those types of clients. And the looking step wasn't going to help because the corporate clients and the multiple 6-figure, 7-figure people, they weren't discussing their problems on the same type of forums that it was just going to be publicly available, or the things that they were going to have out there were just going to be general and generic, not as specific as she needed. So she had to take action. She needed to go out there and gather the information that she needed. So for this particular client, the solution for her was to go to events where decision makers were going to be at and start asking them questions, getting information about their problems, what things that they were looking for before making a buying decision. Essentially, in-person interviewing them to get the information she needed in order to make more compelling marketing and get more specific on the problems that they were having. And what I want you to note from this is that she was going out and getting the information she needed to best help the people she wanted to serve. She could have spent time just guessing and hoping some of the marketing she created would land. But going out, taking action, and getting the information she needed was the best thing that she could do to make sure that she was really narrowed in and honed in on the people that she wanted to help. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go through and see what information you need to better understand your people. I want you to ask yourself, what do I need to know to make more compelling marketing that speaks directly to my people's needs? And instead of sitting back and hoping you stumble on something when just posting a bunch of content and hoping something sticks, I want you to make a commitment to being plugged into what your people actually need from you and getting this information to serve them better. Realizing that you need more information in order to serve your people better, this isn't just something that people who are brand new do. This isn't something that just people who are going into a new niche do. This is something that everybody needs to be doing on a regular basis. Because when you do this, you stop making assumptions about the people you're helping. You're hearing directly from the people you want to help in their own words. So these are the 3 steps to becoming tuned into your audience so that you can create marketing that brings people into your program. Look, listen, act. These 3 things are at the core of what you should be doing when you're building your coaching or service-based offer. This is the foundation of building out a marketing strategy that's going to center on the needs of your people. When you're looking to what your larger industry is doing, you're able to see the gaps. When you're listening to your community and your clients, you'll see the patterns that they're making. And when you become proactive and take action to get the information that you need, you'll be able to take better action to create an offer and create marketing in a way that's really going to speak to your people and have them realize that you are the one that they need to be working with. This is work I did all the time in my career working with a multi-million-dollar organization, and I do this work all the time with my one-on-one clients. And when you work with me privately, I help you master this look, listen, act process. I'll show you how to apply it consistently so that you're always in tune with your audience. Whether buying culture changes or the economy changes or you switch niches, you're always going to have this tool so that you could always be connected and in tune with the people that you were wanting to help. When we work together, we'll dig into what your people truly need and what they need to hear in your marketing to start working with you. It's not about guessing or hoping that something sticks. It's about creating content that's going to resonate every single time because it's based off of the things that you are observing, the things that you are hearing, and the things that you have asked them specifically. This method has worked for multi-million-dollar companies, and it works just as well for online coaches and service providers looking to book consistent clients. It's all about understanding your unique audience and speaking directly to them. Are you ready to become so tuned in that your audience thinks that you are reading their minds? Head to the link in the show notes to learn about how we can work together. Let's create marketing that shows you truly get your audience's problems like no one else, and that you have the perfect solution to help. All right, until next time, I'll talk to you soon. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.